Hi, I'm Tom Lydon here in Hollywood, Florida at the Inside ETF conference. I'm here with Kevin Carter, Chief Investment Officer of EMQQ. Great to see you, Kevin.
Good to see you.
Exciting times in the market, a lot of volatility, but there are also huge opportunities. Let's talk emerging markets for a minute.
Sure. Well, you're right. I mean, there's a lot of volatility in the last 6 months in particular.
Yeah.
And the intraday moves are, sometimes quite significant, 2 or 3 points even, certain days, percentage points. So, yeah, volatility's been high. And the trade war and concerns about the trade war and tariffs, I think, is really what seems to have set off the decline in emerging markets.
Yeah.
But as you said, the valuations look quite compelling, and I think if they get the trade war behind us, that might provide a little relief for the market.
So when you think about that, and you think about the average advisor and their allocation to emerging markets, and even more progressive, growth-oriented stocks, it's really a small percentage, isn't it?
Well, that's true. I mean, I've been doing emerging markets exclusively now for 15 years, and it was pretty clear to me at the beginning, and it's become even more clear to me that, the problem with the traditional indexes, the larger ETFs, is they're full of state-owned, government-controlled entities, Chinese banks, Petrobras in Brazil, and those are the legacy of emerging markets, and they're not really for profit, and there's lots of corruption. The thing that's emerging are the people. I mean, if you really boil it down, it's the consumers that are coming online. This is 85% of the world's people.
Yeah.
And as they move on up, they want more and better stuff: food, clothing, appliances, automobiles, college educations,
and their life runs on this.
Well, and that's right. And so the EMQQ story is the first part is the consumer story, and that story has been well documented. And when I first got involved, I didn't have to backpack across India to learn this. There was already 100-page research reports from McKinsey and other investment banks and consulting firms pointing out that there's all these people and they're going to want stuff too.
Yeah.
And I used to tell people to buy the emerging markets consumer ETF. But what I realized in my life, and I'm sure in yours, and most people watching this, the way we consume has changed. And my family used to go to the Target store 4 times a week, 5 times a week. Now, that was 5 years ago. Now we go once a month. And
you know the UPS guy's first name.
And I know the UPS guys, and I can tell what color their truck is. I can tell if it's a UPS truck or a non-UPS truck just based on the sound of it. So,
right.
So we've seen how it's changed our consumption, but in the developing world, the smartphone is their first computer, right? We had computers; they just got better and smaller and faster. But most of the world doesn't have that. So the smartphone is the first computer for most of the world. And their only computer that they'll likely have. Yeah. And then we take the internet for granted, right? We've had dial-up telephone access, we've had high-speed cable. Now we have it in our pocket when we're out walking around. Our supercomputer in our pocket has got internet access, but most of the world never had the internet in the traditional sense. So you've got billions of people that are consumers, and they're becoming consumers as so-called digital natives and leapfrogging how they consume. A lot of it because they don't have the traditional consumption infrastructure. They don't have bank accounts. There is no Target store to drive to. And so that is what explains the incredible growth rate.
Developing markets are running off the phone, pretty much dominating most of the business and GDP growth based on individual consumption, right?
Yes. And it's this leapfrogging. And I think one of the things people don't quite understand is, for example, with Alibaba, and Tencent, which are 2 largest companies in EMQQ. Yeah. We use shorthand descriptions of these companies to help U.S. investors understand what they are. So we'll call Tencent the Facebook of China, because their WeChat app is the leading social network. But you cannot call Facebook the Tencent of the United States, because in addition to the social network, Tencent is the world's leader in games. They own almost 50% of the maker of Fortnite, as one example of that. But they're also huge in the payments.
Yeah.
So imagine if you walked into Starbucks and used your Facebook app to buy your coffee, or you're walking down the street and someone's selling produce.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, everything in China in particular can be purchased with your phone.
Wow.
And if you go into a McDonald's and you walk up to the counter with cash, you'll be the only person that does that. Wow. There'll be 100 people in the store, but they'll be walking up to the screen and holding their phone up.
So all these companies, not state-owned, we're talking about progressive, disruptive technologies, modern, consumer-oriented. These are the constituents that make up EMQQ.
Yes, there's 58 companies, and again, they're the same kind of things we see here. Now, we own Yandex, which is the Google and Uber of Russia, for example. In South America, we own Mercado Libre, which is both, from Mexico to Brazil, the leader in both e-commerce and payments. So the same types of things that we see and use here are happening all over the world. It's just that we can buy things with our credit cards on the countertop. They never had that. They just leapfrog it and go right to the phone.
Kevin, thanks.
Thank
really
you.
appreciate
Great.
it.
Good to see you.